So I'll start with thanks Andrew for the quick introduction. I'll also give some background. I'll also check, from an audience point of view, right, so that I can just cater my presentation towards, what you're looking for today. My name is really long. It's Shan Muthuvelu. I go by Shan, or I have to say I went through a digital transformation 25 years ago, picking up a short name from my manager. Then I'm into technology for the last 30 years, doing supply chain design. I had the privilege of starting my supply chain journey working for as per Gartner, the world's #1 software company, Manhattan Associates. With that journey, continued working for many top retailers, top manufacturers, top FMCG companies, distributors, you name it. If you pick the top 100 companies in the North American area, right, in this industry verticals, I would have definitely considered for them and designed supply chain for them. But what I'm here today is really for the last 10 years, I dedicated my life in doing semantic research using the MarkLogic database. So because we want to, because the 25 years of supply chain journey, or 25 years of ERP journey, what it taught me was we are struggling to connect the systems, we are struggling to connect the departments, we are struggling to connect your partners, your consumers, your third-party manufacturers. We are even struggling to just connect data in the right way, no matter what you get it. So that was the research we did for the last 10 years, and that's what I want to really see if I can bring it to the table today. So workshop theme is really, can you achieve real-time visibility, not just a data warehouse visibility or like a visibility which is just dumping data into a data lake, right? You're talking about real time. When I say real time, you're not reading databases. You are doing all the checks and balances to make sure you are only ingesting the data and validating it and saving it only if it's the right data across all your upstream, downstream systems, your partner ecosystems, not just applications, right? Your partners, suppliers, your third-party manufacturers, your data streams, your data warehouses, right? That's what I'm talking about, the real-time visibility, and can you do scenario planning on top of it? But if you want to do it all without coding anything, and if you want to do it all open-endedly to any enterprise in any ecosystem that they have, they could be super mature, in the latest cloud, everything is microservice API, or it could be, they're still dealing with spreadsheets, or they're still dealing with massive, data warehouses, data lakes, and other applications, right? Or you just have so many, disparate systems, and the data is not, unified. How do you deal with that? Meaning, you take an enterprise as is, but you still bring the real-time visibility, and you still compose solutions, and you still do scenario planning. Of course, the answer is semantics. That's the 10 years of research that we did, right? That's what we want to really talk about today. So before we deep dive, let's slightly touch upon post-COVID. What is the new normal you could be facing, or your organizations could be facing? So we did the research under 3 areas. One is post-COVID, purely from a supply chain point of view. How many of you here have any role to play in the supply chain? Okay, at least 1 or 2%. Okay, fine. So I won't bore you too much if you're not a supply chain person, but at least you can get a sense of it, right? When it comes to supply chain, supply shortage, what is going on? Why is the manufacturing delay happening? Is it because of the plant not manufacturing at the right time, or something going on with respect to a pandemic? Or some transportation delays happening. It could be what happened in the in the canals out there. A ship got stuck, or it could be the ocean rate going up or going down, or right, or the war. There's so many scenarios. But the general thing that you might have already noticed in the last 3 years is you were not able to predict the disruption. But even though you cannot predict the prescription, can you at least predict, right, what scenarios you want to play when something happens, right? That's what even today morning, all the leaders there from Microsoft and DuPont and others talking about Gen AI and AI. That's exactly what they're talking about. But the good point that Lax mentioned was, even though you go to AI and AI spits out everything AI can predict and tell you, but we still need leaders like you and your IT leaders and your operation leaders and your supply chain leaders to make the final decision, right? Who's going to press that button? You're not going to leave that to the AI, but you're going to leave that to somebody, right? Yep. But how are they going to press that button? Because the input is coming from various systems. It is not available to them in the way they can conceive it. That's the real challenge that they see. How this is inhibiting from a organization growth perspective. If I take few things, one is, you're slower to innovate because you're still stuck in the traditional way of SQL, traditional way of ERPs, where you find what the requirement is, you come up with the design, you give it to IT, or they go for a procurement. It takes 9 months to 12 months. By the time they release a solution, you're moving on to the next requirement, right? Your requirements are dynamically changing. The problems that you want to solve are so dynamic in nature, right? Whether it is how you want to traverse through your supply chain, or how you want to collaborate with your suppliers, or how do you want to even interact with your consumers, right? They were talking about a lot of consumers, right? They want to know, right? Where are you sourcing the material from? Did you fulfill it in the right time? If you're delayed, what is the reason? You may be saying, the delay is nothing to do with my supply chain. The delay is nothing to do with me, but they still want to know, right? Why is it delayed? It's stuck in an ocean container somewhere else, right? Can you pull the data? Maybe the data is coming from some data platform, right? So the third one is purely a technology thing. Is anyone here purely into IT or even into a software company? Okay, good. So some of the technology issues you may be facing, or even your customers may be facing is, I have brought in the latest ERP, the cloud systems. I've subscribed to some data platforms. I have built my own applications. But still, there is data inconsistency between all the systems. If I just dump all their data from different systems into a data warehouse or a data lake, it is not going to guarantee you that the data is right. And you can't just get the data right just by giving it to a lot of data scientists or even putting your own people to analyze the data, right? You want to validate the data from a lens of a business rule, right? That's lacking. So we still see a lot of companies, even the most advanced companies. You'll be surprised. I just had a speaking engagement yesterday. There's one of the top cloud provider in the world who have their own supply chain. One of the top in the world as well. They still have to face with Excel spreadsheets, disconnected supplier data, disconnected data from even their own business functions, right? Can you digitalize everything and make everybody talk their same language? That's not going to happen, right? Even though the world is talking about GS1 compliance, GTINs, right, GLN numbers, and a lot kind of data unification. But the reality of bringing the entire world into that standardization, it's going to take time, or it may not happen for everybody. Or they may get into different standards. Either way, there is a gap. So the conclusion of the research is, as an IT, or a supply chain IT, or even in general, organizations are still stuck in the chasm. You can really take this back, right? Sit down with your IT leaders, operation leaders, supply chain leaders, data transformation leaders, and talk to them about, if you have these 6 challenges that we have listed on the right-hand side, you have disparate IT ecosystems, which is not giving you the real-time decision-making, then you're not getting the deep visibility between all the data. Then there is no true collaboration between your suppliers and your business partners. And you're not having an ability to create or produce the disruption management applications at ease. I'm not talking about where you go through 12 months to 18 months of a project where you need 20 projects to come out in the next 6 months. That's not happening, right? Then difficulty in AI adoption. Even though you might have already purchased an AI package, you may have already hired few data scientists. But how do you connect everything back? Meaning there is ERP, there is your specialized application, your legacy secret sauce that you have built, then you have AI, then you have data platforms that you have procured. How all these 5 is going to talk to each other so that you can make the right decisions, right? That's what we're talking about. So in terms of supply chain, or even in terms of just general data from your organization's perspective, this is our point of view based on 10 years of research into the semantic technology. When I say semantics, it's purely the MarkLogic database on top of the MarkLogic database, applying the semantic technology, right? Which is again metadata. How I personally got into this is because I was doing, as I said, 25 years of supply chain design, right? Then I became a VP for a metadata company about 13 years ago. That's when I learned about metadata. Then I came out and I thought, can I just disrupt the market, coming up with one technology where you marry all the supply chain concepts into the metadata, then use use some kind of technology stack to produce the solutions, where the solutions have to be produced at scale, at enterprise grade level, in 2 weeks. You're talking about a complex solution which may take, even to conceive as an idea and to design, and detailed design will take 3 months, then development, testing, UAT, go live, then you maintain it. It takes 1 year. Can we do that in 2 weeks? In the 2 weeks, if it is not generating any code with respect to the data model, any code with respect to the orchestrations, any code with respect to the UI, any code with respect to the analytics, no code at all with respect to any kind of API learning, any kind of IoT learning, any kind of AAML as well. So I'm talking about almost end-to-end your technology roadmap, end-to-end your IT. Can you do all that with zero code? That is doable if you have a discipline of adapting to the semantic technology, right? That's really it. But what we are recommending as a blueprint for your organization, whether you're IT or just data, or it could be public sector, you're just dealing with a ton of data, right? The blueprint that we are recommending is you need a composable technology. You still need ERPs and other systems and finance systems and accounting systems and everything. You even have data warehouses, data lakes, and other things. Still, you are stuck in the chasm. You are not getting the solution that you need. This is time you switch to a composable technology. If it is composable, the first thing you need is an operating database which can operate as a real-time database. The real-time database is not just copying over data from various systems. It should ingest the data as smart as an ERP. But you're talking about building that smartness for 10 years of logic. No. If you use the semantics, then you can ingest the data as smart as an ERP, not as the industry, what they're selling as an ERP. You can ingest it exactly 100% matching what you want to ingest for your organization, which is your corporation, matching the metadata, or if I say in business terms, the semantics or the ontology of your business. If your business says, my procurement operates this way, my shipment operates this way, my master data operates this way, this is the semantics of my business. I do not want anyone, even the top players in the world, to force things on me, because I have a way I run a business. I have my own metadata. That's what is working for me. That's what I communicate with my departments, with my people. I am willing for some change, but just for the sake of the change, I don't want to call a tomato a potato, right? How do I do that? So you need an operating database which is completely built on a NoSQL database. This revolutionary thinking has not happened. I have to sit here and tell you, right? People have adapted to NoSQL here and there. But what I'm talking about is adapting to your entire ERP, right? I should not say ERP. A parallel platform to your entire corporate data running in NoSQL. A parallel platform, data platform, running to all your ecosystem in NoSQL, meaning capable of semantics, capable of metadata. If that happens, then that all of a sudden gives you an ability to be a real time, because it's ingesting data as if with business rules. And the business rules have to be English-like. Then the data model has to be on the fly. And the data model should be, again, metadata. So if I give you an idea, if you adapt to a framework where data coming in, digital assets coming in, master data, transactional data, or configuration data, or data lists inside your platform, or data getting out, or the digital assets getting out, or your UI, or your mobile, or your widgets for showing you analytics, or your RF programming, or your how you learn your API, or how you learn your IoT. Everything should follow the metadata framework. It's a simple discipline we followed for 10 years, inventing this technology. Once you have the discipline in your corporation, then you can achieve unlimited solution producing with zero technical debt. When I say zero technical debt, there is no single line of code for your data model, for your business logic, for your UI, or for any orchestrations that you ever do within your ecosystem or external to the ecosystem. Learning unstructured, structured data, learning any kind of APIs, IoT data, everything is possible. It is almost a magical platform. It took us 10 years to conclude this research, and we are going through a pattern right now, because we had the discipline of believing that if you strictly follow the metadata framework as a parallel platform in your organization, all of a sudden you're talking about you're going to cut the cost of IT by 90%. I'm not kidding. You know, I'm working with organizations where the supply chain IT budget is $250 million. You're talking about saving 90% of that. You still need the business architects, IT architects, supply chain architects, finance architects. You still need good people, who have your secret sauces. But I'm talking about take all that knowledge, right? Put that into a modern technology so that you can start to produce solutions faster. That's what I'm talking about. This is all through semantic technology. Then, when you produce the solution, now let's get into scenario planning. What is scenario planning? You just want to come up with alternate scenarios. You want to look into what's happening around your world. Could be data within your ecosystem, or the market data, or external data coming in, right? You're just talking about data. If you have the framework of understanding all the data through the lens of metadata, then now you have the power of creating the scenarios. You just sit and go through a design thinking every day. In the morning, I come up with 4 scenarios. In the afternoon, I come up with another 4 scenarios. Morning is about procurement, afternoon is about sourcing, right? Again, maybe from multi-sourcing. Next day about transportation planning, warehousing, manufacturing, all the way down to do I have the right raw materials? I'm even customer satisfaction. Does not matter, right? Scenarios after scenarios after scenarios. Design thinking. From the design thinking, you just go to orchestration through the semantics. But if you have an operating database, which is completely on a semantic database, right? Not just a NoSQL database, right? It has to be a semantic database. Then, as I said, all the data coming in, all your configurations, UI, every component that you can ever think of in an IT world or in your supply chain or ERP world becomes metadata and stays here. Now can you imagine you can produce any scenario that you want? That's what we are trying to pitch you in. But typically for a business value, actionable command center, whether it's a finance command center or a supply chain, lineage tracking, all the way down to the, whether you have the data or not does not matter. The system should be smart enough to connect your supply data and market data and your own data that you crunched all in a meaningful way through semantics without you changing every system, right? Even last week I was at a conference for food compliance, FISMA. So the Fed is mandating, or FDA is mandating, you need to give me the full tracking of the data in the food manufacturing process, right? Likewise, you may have a lot of mandates in the finance industry for risk mitigation or so many other industries, right? But if you really take it in a traditional approach, I'm going to change the data model of everybody. I'm going to come up with extensions and customizations for every applications I have. When are you going to finish this? How are you going to be compliant? So can we take this purely as a data play? Magically, I connect data. Magically, I fill the gaps. How do I do that magic? The magic is because the magic is not in the technology. Magic is not with the organizations which are selling technology, which is including our company. The magic is in your own data if it is in a metadata framework. You already have the magic. If you get the right technology to convert your magic into English-like rules, that's exactly what Lax was talking about in the morning, right? It is just English. So AI is like English. So the semantics gives you all that as English. We have even completed the research on converting the AI output as English. What is English? Semantics. If you have that, that's when you're talking about completing my last thing, which is embedding the AI loop back into the same system. But everything goes back into one framework, which is metadata framework, one database, which is MarkLogic on semantics, right? And you're getting the unlimited possibilities, right? We are not eliminating IT. We are just empowering them and giving them the silver bullet. Even though as an entrepreneur or even with masters in technology, I never thought that I can come up with the silver bullet, or that's not even the right strategy in terms of strategy. But in terms of AI, it is a silver bullet. In terms of semantics, it is a silver bullet. You can grab it. We don't have to be afraid. It definitely gives you that unlimited power. Using this technology, we can produce a lot of solutions. That's one thing. But also software companies are taking this technology and recomposing the entire solutions. Let's take some examples, right? This is a business case one, food safety modernization. What they're really looking for, this is again FDA compliance. We need to track all the way from harvest, transform, transport, receipt, ship. If you think about it, you're buying, how many of you really like strawberries, right? Right? You want to know, where it's coming from, all the way from which farm, who washed it. Yeah, it's really who washed it, who packaged it, who sent it to the first distribution center, how did it get shipped, where did it, from there, where did it go, and who consumed it, right? They want to know everything. And which was the first global location number, right? Meaning where the lot really started. They want to know the whole thing. Instead of sitting and going through whole thing, this will be I would say a $20 million project for a company, right? You got to change ERP, transportation, WMS, you name it, right? MRP, everything. Instead of that, if you apply the semantic thing, you're just digitalizing through the metadata framework and semantic technology, maybe a couple of applications, and you're centralizing all the automations, orchestrations, linear tracking, just marrying all the data, putting the English rules, and filling all the gaps and keeping the data ready. That's what I'm talking about. This took for this technology just 2 weeks. People were talking about, I need 2 years to get ready for the FDA. This technology enabled them in 2 weeks. Another use case, right? Complete end-to-end supply chain. You can see manufacturing plant, distribution center, some 3PL involved. This is even, the world's, I'm not calling out the logo, but it's, the top 1 or 2 ERP provider. You can guess it, right? So they have everything they have. But sometimes customers come back and say, they have everything, but they're not what I'm looking for in every area. Maybe finance, yes. Maybe manufacturing, yes, but not in warehousing, not in transportation. Okay, are you looking for the best of the breed in the world? I can recommend you something. They say, no, I don't want the best of the world. I want the best of the best for me based on what I need, right? Meaning, I want the best of my bespoke, right? I have the secret sauces of running my warehouse, running my transportation, right? And I have the steps. I have learned it. And you are telling me you have best practice, which is really 20 different steps, but I'm talking about 5 steps. If you do this way, I am a lot more efficient, resilient. That's what we're talking about, right? Is that possible? It is possible only if you approach it in a semantic way. Another use case, again, this happened in Europe, right? There's, leading SI, a lot of companies in Europe, they want to go to the ISO audit, but they already have a lot of ERPs running, warehousing running, MRPs running. But they do not want to go and change every customer's application ecosystem. But they want to come up with a quick ISO audit solution, but which can talk back to any enterprise ecosystem, any system on the left, any type of data on the left, bi-directional orchestration, talking to them. How is that possible? Again, 3 weeks, semantic technology. As you could see, you should be able to manage the policies, integrate the data, auto-create the master data. You should be able to execute the tasks, right? So all these things should be just components using the semantic technology. Another use case, again, with AML. But if you think about it, using the semantic technology, if all the data coming in is already ingested, ERP-like, with the business rules that you want to put in, we are creating the data, not dumping tables, Excel sheets, and SQL tables, right? We are creating the data for your business based on your business rules. That means the data is already catered towards your enterprise. On top of it, put the semantic lens and view and show only what data you want to show to different business functions and departments and your suppliers and consumers. one database on the semantic framework, you are able to create it only for what you want to create it for, and also auto-create it, meaning not the traditional way. I get all the master data, then I get transactional. No, here you can get the transactional data. From that, you can go back and create the master data. But because in the semantic way, you can build the English-like rules and play with the data. It's the magic of the semantic layer, right? In that, you have the data, then you can select the data through, again, English rules, feed it to the AML engine. And the AML engine in Python or PySpark, wherever, it's crunching everything you need in AML, and the data comes back. Now again, if you can interpret that again as semantics, now you have everything as semantics. If I conclude my journey, the incoming data, digital assets, then the platform's data, which is your corporate data or your configuration data, your UI data, your workflow data, your IoT, your API data. On top of it, your AI outcome now becomes semantic data. Now can you think about Gen AI? The 4 gentlemen out there, or 5 gentlemen out there spoke about Gen AI, right? They are Gen AIing only on master data, on transactional data, or on big data, because the logic is in the code. The business logic is in the code. What I'm talking about is the business logic is in the semantics. Now can you imagine the power of this Gen AI? Because now Gen AI can be applied on not just data, meaning master data, transactional data. Everything that you do in your enterprise, including your orchestrations, UI, RF forms, anything that you have done ever in your enterprise is becoming semantics. Because of that, the Gen AI can be applied on that. It can even tell you what is the best UI which is producing the results. What widget that you're using is producing the result. Is the placement of 4 fields in a form, if you have switched the 4 fields, the sequence of the 4 fields, maybe you make the 3rd field become the 4th field, it can give that level of input. So the future is in your hands, because the magic is in your organization as data. But all you have to adapt to is, can you convert your journey towards the metadata thinking, right? So far I don't know if I'm boring you or exciting you, right? Right, semantic thinking, all this thinking. But I also want to show you, this is a recent published, Gartner published this. They're also doing a lot of research, right? Except that in our company we have 200 people, and they may have a lot more people doing the research. But they're also coming and saying it is time to consolidate the technology, right? How do you get the connectivity, intelligence, experience, orchestration, right? Composable architecture, everything together, right? So their research, they're also concluding it's time to, put everything together. Even though, when Gartner was recommending, it resonated with what we have done and what we have concluded as well. So now we got the recognition from Gartner. Even IDC has recognized this semantic technology as a connective tissue. We got that recognition as well for our research. So with that, I can definitely conclude that if you adopt this, 100% metadata framework thinking, operating database, right, and semantic thinking in your organization, your IT can produce solutions faster for you, and 80% of your solutions can be even produced outside the IT, but they still will govern it in terms of security policies and all the other things, user governance and roles, permissions and everything, but still, they don't have to worry about the business logic, because the user interaction, user experience, business logic orchestrations will come to the business hands, right? The technicality of single sign-on, right? The security, right? 24/7 availability, right? High availability, all those things will be in their hands. Now we can imagine, right? The power of the semantic technology. Okay, some of the screens I want to show you. So this is how if you use the semantic technology to look like this, but anything that you see here, there is not a single line of code behind the scenes which understands what master data means, transactional means, manufacturing means, distribution means, accounting means, external systems means, Oracle integration means, nothing. This platform is dumb as it could be because of the semantic power. When we even deploy this technology, we deploy it with 0 data models, no tables, no schemas, nothing. It is dumb, but it is smart enough because we have the discipline of semantics. It is smart enough to learn the data model that you put in, and it is smart enough to learn and build a data model, which can be extended on a daily basis. 2, learn and also recompose, enhance business logic. 3, learn and compose UI. That's all, 3 things, right? Then you can produce how many ever you want. And we produce a lot of solutions like this, right? Everything takes 2 to 3 weeks. Or even people who adapt to this technology produce solutions like this, right? It's going to change the world, because if you go to the world right now and ask Gartner, they will say there is a magic quadrant. I have 20 players giving this solution, right? 5 are in the leaders quadrant, 5 are here, right? This is going to change. Because using a technology like this, IT can produce the solutions themselves, or the players out there can produce 1,000 solutions using the same technology, right? So the world is going to change. You are not going to have just 20 people, producing solutions anymore. This is the same thinking like the Gen AI and the AI, right? Everyone are going to produce solutions, right? So it's time for you to produce the solutions that you are looking for in your enterprise and what your customers are looking for, then leaving it to the world where just 10 or 20 companies, including ourselves, have to produce the solutions and force it on you, saying that that's the best practice. We want to challenge that. And AI is challenging that, and semantic technology also challenges that. So with that, I'll just conclude. Any questions? Yes, sir.
So for me, in the past, the challenge of semantic technology is getting someone to understand it.
Uh-huh.
What are the challenges that you talked about the quick turnaround?
Mm-hmm.
What challenges did you run into in terms of getting people to understand prior to adopting?
Mm-hmm.
And what would you recommend going forward?
Okay, great question. The challenge we faced in terms of adoption, right? It takes a lot of time to explain to the IT, right? Hey, this technology can save the world for you. Even though, you just bring 10 out of school students, right? Undergrads, we can teach them and they can learn it. It's pretty easy. But the adoption, because there is nothing they can compare this to. So for that, what we have done is, we have started composing the data models ourselves as a unified data model. We have started composing the solutions ourselves, because we don't want to sit around saying that this is the best technology, right? So there are companies which are getting the technology, composing the solution. But who are getting the success is, you are not trying to sell the technology to the enterprise, you sell the solution to the enterprise. And in that journey, right, they see, you know what? I'll share a story with you guys. This is one of the largest distribution company, right, in the US. After going through all these things, they still came back and asked, when are you going to deploy the code? And we said, there is no code whatsoever. We did this whole project in front of your eyes, and we don't even know the requirement. We did not come with any data model. It was empty. But that is the thing, right? They have to learn this. So what we concluded is, at least Satish, who's our chief strategy officer, he travels around the world and he gives a lot of speeches as well. He came back and said, just stop selling the technology, right? You don't have to explain this to anyone. I'm trying to explain because I thought you guys are interested in something, revolutionary, right? But in terms of an enterprise buying, they are interested in, hey, you're giving me a data model which is already pre-composed, but you're telling me it's extendable, right? Others are not. 1. 2, you're already giving me pre-composed solutions, which I can use it or not use it or extend it. 3, you're already telling me I can augment my SAPs and Oracles and others of the world. 4, you're also telling me I can take out all my legacy applications and recompose them in a bespoke fashion, right? So that means lowering my technical debt, producing the solutions faster at business speed. I have to demonstrate to you at almost no investment or 0 investment. Only if we prove it to them, they want to adapt to it, right? It is almost like they need to see the ROI, they need to see the benefits before the adoption, because this is a missionary sale. This is not something we can compare and say, you know what, this is in the market, I have a better technology, right? This will take time. Even, yesterday I was at a conference, even, leaders from big companies, they are saying, this is the way to go, but we need to start talking more about it, right? It's time to make metadata semantic technology mainstream, right? It's time to make NoSQL mainstream, right? I don't think SQL will be there only for point solutions. If you want complete flexibility in your corporate, you cannot achieve it with SQL, right? I'm a programmer myself. I started, almost 30 years ago programming in RPG, right? So I don't think it's possible, right? I even worked as a VP in a metadata-based company where the metadata was managed through SQL. It was a nightmare. 3 tables. Can you imagine if I have to invent a technology for 20,000 tables and millions of data into the table? I have a retailer who have 40 million item master records, right? They're still in AS400, right? So you're talking about NoSQL, semantics, metadata is the way to go. But we need to slowly bring that, right? People are jumping on AI, right? Because there is a lot of talk, a lot of hype. There is not a lot of talk and not of hype about semantics and metadata. But it will get there. It has to get there because there is nothing else happening in the market. Even the cloud adoption who have gone to all the latest ERPs in the cloud, they're already complaining. That's one of our research findings. They're already saying cloud is leaner, right? Because the functionality that they built as their customizations and enhancements, you cannot do that in the cloud. Cloud is multi-tenant, single thing, right? So you cannot do it anymore. Then what can I do now? Unless you have semantics, you can't produce solutions, right? Because they don't even share the data with you. You don't have the data model. You don't have the data. You don't even know what logic they're running. You don't have the source code. So what is IT going to do, right? Without the metadata, you cannot produce solutions. Soon they're going to find out. Sorry, it's a long answer. Yeah. Any other question? Yep.
You mentioned the sort of 2 to 3 week time period. What does the business side actually have to do during that 2 to 3 week time period?
Okay, great question. So this is just a design thinking, right? In the metadata world is you conduct a 3-day workshop, maybe half a day asking them what's your problem, what's the requirement, just go through that and rehash that with them. Then in the afternoon, the first day afternoon, you just decide what systems are going to talk to each other and what kind of data you're going to do. Just put circles, we call them as data models, but it's not the canonical data model of all the attributing everything. Just put circles around data because it's metadata, it's very easy, right? Then the third day, you just go create either a Visio diagram or a lucid chart of how the process flow should work. On the fourth day, right, you expand your data model into definitions of the attributes and the thing. Fifth day, you start composing it. The third day morning, you start composing it. Third day afternoon, you can give them a prototype. That's what we do. So the business and the IT architects are sitting on the 3-day sessions, and we are proving it to them. We understood your requirements. This is the data it's going to play. I took one use case. I data modeled it. Right, I showed you how it is, how to create a component for it, a solution for it. Third day afternoon, you're seeing the outcome of it. Then once they gain that confidence, in the next 3 weeks, you just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. Yeah. Even if you guys are just software companies using the MarkLogic database, you can just take this technology and just rehash it. Yeah. I have a company which subscribes to a technology like this for $10,000 a month, and we're able to, produce a solution, meaning composing it, right? You're not coding, and I can't, but it's not a small number. It's a big number because you're solving a bigger problem. Our value prop is technology, right? But their value prop is solutioning. So that has 20 times value, and the customer is willing to pay them. So that's even answer your question, right? Selling technology, right, if you can't make money. Selling solutions, you can make money. So, but this technology will assist people, right? Even large SIs and large software companies, even some of them out in India as well, they're adapting to a technology like this. Yeah. Yeah.
Say you build a data model for them, so the data model building process is an automatic one, or how was it built? Data model?
Okay. We have already built what we, based on our knowledge, a very generic data model. Because when we tried the approach of empty shell, everything empty, you start from the scratch, even though you can drop in all your data models you have, it will just learn it, but still they were not comfortable. So what we have, the reason is you are unnecessarily complicating that process because you already have about 250 applications in different data model that even in a SQL data model, right? You don't have to do that. So what we have concluded is the circles I was talking about, we have made the circles ourselves because we have a ton of experience dealing with SAP, Oracle, Blue Yonder, Infor, Bespoke, Manhattan, right? So many things, so many applications in the market, all the way from a mainframe AS400 to the latest S4 HANA and the Cloud Fusion and other things, right? So we have composed ourselves a unified data model which can adapt to your ecosystem pretty easily. Since it's all metadata driven, you can just drop whatever you don't need. Right? So if you don't have it, we can start from scratch. But the scratch, it is not apple to apple, meaning we are not converting a SQL data into a NoSQL data model, right? It is different. So because of that, we have composed it ourselves. Once you see it, people think, what? Oh, this is what the data model in the NoSQL metadata world is. This is good enough. It's very simplified. It is not 10,000 tables that I have to marry. Yeah. So nowadays, we pretty much give the data model to whoever is subscribing because we are not selling solutions. You just subscribe to the technology. Pretty much whatever you have composed is just given to them because we are looking for a technology adoption. That's the reason we are not even afraid of software companies using the technology, right? Because they may produce a better solution than us. We are specialists in supply chain, so we can produce a supply chain solution as good or better than some of the leaders out there, but still, we don't have the time. But somebody who has the time, right, who can produce it better, so be it. It's like, all of you here buying Java and SQL and composing an application and going to market, right? It's the same way. The only difference is if you do that in a SQL and a Java and other things, right, you have a technical depth, then you can't just change your data model every day. You can't change your business logic every day. You can't tell your customer in the cloud world that everybody can do your own thing. I don't have any bearing on it. You cannot say that, right? It's multi-tenant, one data model, rigid. You have given it to 100 customers, right? And all the business logic, you've coded for it, and you've given it. You're calling that as no code, but still you are governing the coded data model. You are governing the coded business logic. Those 100 customers, when they ask for customizations, they are stuck in the cloud world. But what we are talking about is in this technology, when you produce a solution, when you give it to your 100 customers, you are telling your 100 customers, you can customize your data model every day. You can change your business logic every day. You can change your UI and everything every day. And all the 100 customers doing, let's say, 10 each projects becomes 1,000 projects. All those 1,000 projects have no bearing on the solution you have produced because it's just a starting point. There is no technical depth. There is no code. Yes. Yeah.
Does this also provide the analysis or metrics, how much supply I need to provide for the next month depends on business?
This is pure data play. Since we are supply chain specialists, we do have consultants who are manufacturing specialists, warehousing, transportation specialists. So technology as such can do anything you want, even on a finance side. Purely, if I understand your question, right, if it's on the manufacturing side, right? So maybe I'll ask Satish, can you answer that question for him? Yeah.
Is it about the prediction that you want to do in terms of what your transaction of on the supply side has been, say, this month or the past months, and you want to predict what that would be? Yeah, from that standpoint, we have one of the offerings, which is AI offering. So we have 4 different offerings on this platform. One of that, what we call as AI PaaS. So similar to what Sean was saying, there is a technology that is already laid out with all the components of AI in it, and we have built out solutions also as part of that platform. A lot of predictive analysis has gone in, so that's prediction as well as prescriptive also, right? Say for example, predicting the lead time and giving you enough insight and also telling you as to what will be the lead time if you go and procure a particular item 2 months hence. That's prescriptive, right? So in your case, looking at all the transactions of the supplier can predict to tell you what could be the potential supply from a vendor or multiple set of vendors over a 1 month horizon or a 2 month horizon, taking all the factors into account. That's cost. Did that answer your question? Yes.
Thanks, Satish. Yeah. But again, it goes back to the data play, right? All the causal factors, right? Somehow either we intelligently learn the causal factor because the delay happened because of maybe you are doing contract manufacturing, there is a delay. And the delays could be because of weather, or it could be because of labor strike, could be because of capacity constraints, right? So pretty much it's a data play. Pretty much it goes back to semantics. But what you solve in that orchestration is possible only if you have the semantics. It's possible only if the data is fed based on the semantics, right? That's where we assist you. Okay, any other question? Yes.
Yeah, one area where, supply chain has really been problematic, of course, is medicinal products.
Uh-huh.
I mean, at FDA, when I worked there, I mean, there's a new drug shortage almost every day.
Uh-huh.
And, a lot of this has to do with it more than semantics. It means to have global resources to trace, where things are being manufactured, who's shipping them, what the distributors
Yep,
have,
yep.
and what pharmacies have,
Yep.
to sort of mitigate these things.
Yep.
There isn't this integrated solution yet.
Yep.
And, and it really has to be global.
Yep.
And how to get there, I'm not sure, because some of it would involve, making commercial confidential information perhaps public. And, but I know the airplane industry has somewhat solved it, but the medicinal products that they haven't yet.
Yep. It's a great question. Even I was thinking about it, like, when blockchain was evolving, right? You were just really blockchaining all the data. Then you somehow you are just, then that was one evolution. Then the other evolution was maybe everybody was saying, subscribe to the same platform, share the data, right? But what we, so we don't know where the world is going to go. But one thing our research showed was, it is very hard for the entire world, even though from a supply chain point of view, we want, as you were saying, we want the world to come together, sharing the data, having the same terminologies, same standards. But can people get there? Because there is time involved, money involved, there is sophistication and all kinds of modern technology, everything involved, right? So do they really have it to invest on it? But even if they don't get there, but they have to somehow get there through other technologies, that's where this will allow them, right? Even everybody are not on the same data platform. Everybody are not mandated to the government, even for that matter, right? I did some consulting in Saudi Arabia, right? Even there, the government is mandating you need to share all the, the lot tracking information because they want to track it. They don't want to leave the traceability to the corporation because they want to govern it from the government point of view as well. So in terms of that, right, if you have semantic technology, then what happens is you're still making sure you are getting the full traceability end to end, but with semantics, you're not forcing everybody, you need to follow the same process, same data, right? Your data could be, however it is managed, but I'm giving you a framework, and I'm also giving you a way to marry things together. If I take an example, let's say for an item, G10 is the way to go. But what if your applications are not in G10, and you don't have the money or resources to go through that conversion process? Then all we have to do in this technology is, what is your item ID is 1. You have 10 suppliers. Their 10 suppliers item ID is something else, and there is a G10. As long as semantics can marry that together, right? But that should be reflecting on your procurement, planning, distribution, all the way down to what data is distributed, right? Then if you can do that in the semantic, use the semantic technology to connect it together, then you can go back and trace it back. But now they're saying, you know what, I cannot give this information because I don't have it, right? I'm not getting the GLN. I'm not getting the lot number. I am not GS1 compliant. You don't have to be. If you have the semantic technology, somebody can fill the gaps and fill the dots, right? So.
But GS1 hasn't really, they don't make their whole directory of G10s available, and then it even varies by country. The same product may have a different G10.
Yeah.
in a
My,
different country.
yeah.
So
my point of view, this is personal point of view, which is, there's no point in globally telling everybody global standards. As long as the semantics can understand A means B here, B means C here, then that is all put in the system and it is registered, that's good enough, right? You can still say that's your item ID, that's your location ID. As long as I have a way to lock it, what you mean is that, and there are other ways to lock it in, right? It does not have to be a number, because I can marry a number, right? But I can marry with and whatever is a number that in the US it's a federal identification number, and in some other country it could be some other number, right? That likewise, right? Just common semantics, like even for a person, first name, last name, date of birth, middle name, right? City of birth, whatever, right? Just make it somehow unique, right? So we're not telling everybody, what is your unique number for the entire world, right? It's not required, but you still identify me, right? But it should be flexible enough, right? So maybe a passport number, maybe a driver's license number, maybe right, social security number, maybe all, right? Right? That flexibility is needed, right? Yeah. Semantics provides that flexibility. Yeah. You're good? Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Yeah.